A Republican vice presidential candidate today would never insult a woman for having children. As they say, my job is done. Besides her intelligent beauty and incisive performances, Candice Bergen was a symbol of success defined by serenity, strength, and quiet confidence. Behind the stage lights, Emmy Awards, and heartfelt performances was a life of loneliness, rejection, and traumas she had hidden for years. Candice Bergen was a sought-after Vogue model, a persistent Murphy Brown TV journalist, the first woman to headline Saturday Night Live, and a feminist pioneer. However, she was also the sister of a puppet who sat at supper with a wooden dummy her father loved more than her, who later witnessed him give his inheritance to that dead item, not her. Candice Bergen had to overcome her childhood wounds, from being abandoned by her father to a stroke, a fractured pelvis, fading memory, and deep personal losses, to succeed in a world that rarely accepted strong women. What kept her standing? When her father rejected her, how did she become a role model admired by millions? Let us follow Candice Bergen's truly emotional path, where light and shadow are interwoven and a woman learns to love herself through truth, not fame. Candice Patricia Bergen was born in Hollywood at Presbyterian Hospital on May 9, 1946. Candice appeared to grow up in a glamorous family as the daughter of model Frances Bergen and ventriloquist comic Edgar Bergen. However, she recognized a weird injustice in her family from an early age. Her father preferred a wooden puppet. That puppet was Edgar's stage mate and spiritual kid, Charlie McCarthy. Charlie accompanied her father. The secret to his fame. Candice saw Charlie as an intruder on stage and in her father's heart. Every breakfast reminded her of childhood misery. Candice and Charlie sat on their father's knees. Edgar would request puppetry. He gently tugged at the back of her neck, causing her to open her mouth as if speaking, creating a weird human puppet discussion. Edgar alone spoke. Candice, a genuine child, was his silent backdrop. She grew up feeling inadequate. Her father spent time with her when she was little and managed. The older she became, the more she was pushed away, whereas Charlie stayed by Edgar's side like an extension of his body. The final blow. Edgar Bergen left $10,000 to Charlie McCarthy and nothing to Candice, his biological daughter, in his 1978 testament. Candice didn't weep. She never publicly criticized her father or expressed her displeasure, but she confessed the hurt never went away. Charlie McCarthy, an inanimate thing, symbolized her father's work, emotional rejection, and how a prominent man could hurt his own child without recognizing it. Despite her accomplishments, Candice retained that recollection as a wound that would never heal. Her strongest determination to live and excel without her father's aid may have come from that subtle rejection. Merely her name, not Bergen's. Thus began her trip, not out of gratitude, but because she believed she earned a place in the world. As the daughter of a model and a famous comedian, Candice Bergen was famous early on. At age 6, she appeared on her father's radio show, The Edgar Bergen Hour. Candice initially forwent her childhood aspiration of being an actor. Initially, she attended Beverly Hills Harvard-Westlake School, where many Hollywood elites' children learned. Her next stop was the University of Pennsylvania, a top Ivy League school. She rapidly gained notice for her Bergen name, striking beauty, and assertive presence. She was homecoming queen and Miss University, shining at college activities. But the labels hid a basic fact. Candice disliked schoolwork. She confessed to not taking school seriously. She skipped classes, disobeyed regulations, and failed painting and opera. She was expelled by the university after her sophomore year. Lacking diploma and direction, Candice didn't crumble. Instead, she naturally switched to professional modeling. Candice gained popular due to her chiseled features, intelligent gaze, and timeless elegance. Vogue, the world's most prominent fashion magazine, featured her because she had star quality, not because she was Edgar Bergen's daughter. Even runway flash couldn't hold her. Candice felt like she belonged, not simply posing. She studied acting in New York's HB studio, where Al Pacino and Robert De Niro trained. She had her first real chance in 1966. Candice was asked to audition for the group by family friend Sidney Lumet. She played a college student in a lesbian relationship narrative, a controversial issue for its time. The picture was a critical and economic hit, and Candice, the college dropout, made a spectacular film debut. Later same year, she starred in The Sand Pebbles with rising star Steve McQueen. The film was a box office hit, an Oscar nominee. This was no fluke, but a promising career start. She didn't need her father's support or to be anyone's puppet. Candice Bergen selected her own route at 20, knowing it would be difficult. However, this time she was in charge. Candice Bergen became a rising star in the 1970s after The Group and The Sand Pebbles. Her beauty as a model-turned-actress and daring to play strong, often controversial parts were swiftly acknowledged by Hollywood. Candice's career was never linear. It was a series of magnificent and disappointing steps rooted in one premise: never accept mediocrity. Her 1967 picture The Day the Fish came out was a critical and commercial failure. 20th Century Fox signed her to a long-term contract anyhow. Soon after, she starred in The Magus, 1968, with Michael Caine and Anthony Quinn, a mystery picture with high anticipation but poor reviews. Candice remained known as a risk-taker who played difficult, non-mainstream characters even when her films tanked. The 1970 Western Soldier Blue, starring Candice, was controversial for its brutal depiction of U.S. military cruelty against Native Americans. The film was a hit in Europe but criticized in the U.S. Her 1971 UK box office ranking as the seventh most popular actress was a rare feat for an American star. Candice starred in diverse films during the decade. She was lauded for her supporting part in Mike Nichols' 1971 film Carnal Knowledge, unprofitable violent western The Hunting Party, 1971, and Tr. In Baskin, she was a more thoughtful and emotional lead. After a break, she returned with British heist flick 11 Harrow House, 1974, and Gene Hackman and James Coburn's Bite the Bullet, 1975. The 1976 tipping point was surprising. Candice replaced Faye Dunaway in The Wind and The Lion opposite Sean Connery last minute. Her excellent, multifaceted character as an American widow kidnapped in the Moroccan desert had feminist implications in a male-driven action storyline. The film received mixed reviews but showed her genre versatility. In 1977, she reunited with Gene Hackman in The Domino Principle, a little picture directed by Stanley Kramer, a filmmaker she admired. Candice became the first woman to host Saturday Night Live that year, a big television milestone. She continued, "She was the first to host the show twice and joined the Five Timers Club, an elite group of most invited hosts." Candice Bergen's beauty, intelligence, fortitude, and humor made her a 1970s icon, not because of her blockbuster number, but because of her breadth, depth, and unique artistic personality. Trends never captivated her. Instead, she always left audiences guessing. She was about to get a career-defining chance. Before that, Candice had to establish she was more than a pretty face. She was an artist with humor as her weapon. Hollywood considered Candice Bergen as beautiful, educated, but not important enough to stand among political or dramatic film giants for over a decade. However, Candice, in a modest supporting part, changed that attitude in 1979. She played Burt Reynolds' ex-wife, a self-absorbed lady in love with herself who wants to be a soft pop singer despite not singing. Candice sung so poorly, it was wonderful. Audiences laughed at the deliberate awkwardness. Careful artistry underpinned that laughing. Candice didn't act funny. People laughed because her character's choices stung of illusion and grief. The portrayal garnered her an Oscar and Golden Globe nomination for Best Supporting Actress. More than the awards, it was Hollywood's first admission that Candice Bergen could do humor. She continued to play several roles on television in the early 1980s. The sorceress Morgan Le Fay in Arthur the King, 1985, Burt Reynolds' love interest in Stick, and leading roles in Murder by Reason of Insanity and Mayflower Madam. Her 1988 Murphy Brown main role was the turning point. Initial expectations were minimal. A show featuring a recovering alcoholic, stubborn, and combative female journalist didn't sound popular. Murphy Brown became famous after a few episodes. Candice brought to life a new type of character with keen eyes, a piercing voice, and razor-edged humor, a strong woman who didn't pretend to be nice. Candice played a TV journalist in Murphy Brown and became a cultural icon. The show addressed politics, journalism, single motherhood, and breast cancer. Candice never overacted. She was honest in her role, which made audiences believe, sympathize, and admire. She received 7 Emmy nominations and won 5 from 1989 to 1998. She willingly withdrew after her 5th win to make room for new talent. After Murphy Brown finished, CBS invited Candice to join a 60 Minutes correspondent, America's top news show, because to its effect. She declined for a simple reason: "I don't want to mix actor and journalist." Candice reprised Murphy Brown in the 2018 revival. However, the show only aired 13 episodes due to its overt political tone and changing audience interests. Candice was satisfied with reliving Murphy once more. After being judged as too gorgeous to be taken seriously, Candice Bergen made laughter her signature voice. Sharp, intellectual, and sometimes deep laughter. She's more than an actor because of that. She tells stories with courage and humor. Candice Bergen said it takes years to feel like a family. Perhaps counterintuitive coming from someone born into Hollywood's shine. But for her, a child nurtured in the emotional distance of a renowned father who never heard "love you" from anybody at home, it couldn't be more true. Her youth was quiet and free. At 1050 Cielo Drive, she lived with Doris Day's son, music producer Terry Melcher. Soon later, that house was the site of the Sharon Tate murders, which haunted Hollywood for decades. Candice went away before the massacre, but it haunted her. Candice dated Bert Schneider, producer and screenwriter of Easy Rider and The Last Picture Show, in the mid-1970s. Intimate, but no marriage. Perhaps because Candice was still escaping her father's shadow and not ready to start a family. She finally met her soulmate, French film director Louis Malle, at 34. Candice found unusual harmony in her marriage despite cultural and lifestyle disparities. Her first and only child was born at 39. After becoming a mother, Chloe Francois regarded it her most significant position, not on film, but at home. But happiness had limits. Lymphoma killed Louis Malle on Thanksgiving Day 1995. After becoming a widow at 49, Candice raised their daughter alone. She didn't cry or talk to reporters. In a subsequent interview, she said, "I couldn't picture living without Louis, but I did because of Chloe." Candice wedded Marshall Rose, a rich New York businessman and philanthropist, in 2000. After so much loss, his lack of artistic talent or entertainment industry connections may have helped her find foundation. They lived peacefully and aged together with respect. Candice has cared for Marshall through his health issues as she has through all storms. Her daughter Chloe is married and lives across the street from Candice. Keep in touch while maintaining limits. Candice's first grandchild is Chloe's son Artie. As a mother-in-law with boundaries, she explains her existence. She takes satisfaction in following those lines. Most notable is Candice's affection for her grandson. Despite never hearing her parents say, "I love you," she tells Artie every day, even if he doesn't comprehend. She tells him to get used to the sound because those 3 words, albeit short, are too powerful to forget. Candice Bergen met her genuine family through the tenderness she had longed for as a child, after loss, heartache, and long silences. That place has no Charlie McCarthy or puppet breakfasts. Candice, mother, wife, grandmother, lives the life she previously lacked, fully. Candice Bergen, who played Shirley Schmidt on Boston Legal, had a mild stroke at 65. Instead of taking a protracted hiatus, she returned to work after 2 weeks. Instead of taking her health lightly, she didn't want to be perceived as frail or a burden in an industry that requires perfection. Candice initially discussed the incident in a 2012 New York Magazine interview. 6 years after the stroke, she quietly said, "My memory isn't what it used to be." Candice faced her trepidation and declared, "I'm grateful I gave it a try," after opening night in Gore Vidal's The Best Man, her Broadway debut. Tests continued on her health. In late 2011, she fell off a bike and broke her pelvis. She joked, "I break if I fall now." The half-joke disclosed a truth. Candice knew she was aging better than anyone. Unlike many Hollywood stars who use cosmetic surgery to stay young, Candice gracefully aged. She admitted, "I'm not what I used to be. Not interested in changing it. Her apathy has saved me." She doesn't dye her hair, strain her skin taut, or live in fantasy. Candice Bergen acts and lives honestly in an industry obsessed with youth and beauty. Age isn't a loss for her. A different lifestyle. Less complex, yet deeper. Stop hurrying between film sets. Instead of thunderous applause backstage at SNL, she walks her grandson in the morning, cooks with her daughter in the afternoon, and talks quietly with her aging husband. Candice claimed her life is smaller but more full after everything. She no longer worries about filming schedules, expectations, or comparisons. She's content with what's in front of her. No more prizes needed. Just the loving, repeated phrase to her grandchild, no more ovations. "I love you," she repeated, making up for the words she never heard as a youngster. In a world that seeks fame and endless youth, Candice Bergen chooses to age freely, live honestly, and value herself. That choice, braver than any role she's performed, may be her greatest accomplishment. Candice Bergen didn't want sympathy or praise. Her only desire was to live authentically. That alone took courage in Hollywood's glamorous but merciless culture. Murphy Brown will be Candice's legacy after nearly 60 years. A closer examination shows that her biggest legacy isn't a single job. It's in how she lived, working hard, loving unconditionally, and becoming elderly without apology. Candice Bergen's life may teach us this. You needn't be born into perfect parents. Not everyone needs love. You needn't win every game. Just be patient with yourself, live honestly, and trust that you'll eventually create everything you lacked in the past. If you laughed at Murphy Brown, cried at Candice's discourse about her grandson, or saw yourself in her scars, you may understand. Candice Bergen doesn't require symbolism. She should just be herself. That suffices. Please share her story if it moved you, because occasionally others echo our experiences, whether a celebrity or a regular eager. Subscribe if you want more candid, sincere, and human stories like these. Who knows? Your next voyage may involve a face you've adored for years.